Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. And as you can see, I'm not in the workshop again because today I'm heading down to Spain with the GasGas to ride some of the TET trails in the Pyrenees. So this morning I'm going to be driving around 500 kilometers down to a hotel I've booked just south of the Spanish-Andorran border. It's a place called Ansarol, and I've booked in for 2 nights. So it's about 500 odd kilometers to get down there. According to Google Maps, I'm not going through Andorra, I'm going either one way round it or the other, because it's effectively right through it and at the bottom. On the way back, I think I probably will go through Andorra because I'll fill up with fuel in Andorra because it's way cheaper than anywhere else in Europe. So I'll probably do that on the way back and then head up towards Toulouse. But for now, plan is get going, get down to Spain, and we'll see how we get on. Tomorrow morning, I'm going to start on the TET. Now you can see on the map that I'm showing you, I'm picking up the TET pretty much where it starts at the bottom of Andorra, and I'm heading east. And my plan tomorrow is to go as far as I can, either through time or fatigue, and then decide what to do. So I've got to get back to my hotel after that, but after that I'm not sure. Anyway, enough nonsense, let's get on with the trip, and you'll join me later when hopefully I shall be in sunny Spain. I shall see you shortly. So it's Monday evening and I'm safely at my hotel in sunny Spain. The hotel's about 4 kilometers south of the border with Andorra. I actually drove through Andorra on the way here. I left home about 10 o'clock this morning and I got to the hotel about 7 p.m, which sounds like a very long day, and it has been a long day, but you can knock an hour off for that because I had lunch and also stopped in Toulouse. And also I did not take the toll roads in France. Taking the toll roads in France is a double-edged sword, because if you take the toll roads you get there quicker, but it costs you money. But the downside that I particularly dislike is that you don't get an opportunity to stop in any of the villages or towns to get something to eat. You can only eat from the service areas. Now, I mean, to be fair, the service areas in France are like the Ritz compared to the service areas in the UK. So it's not that you'd get a crap meal at a service area in France, because you certainly wouldn't. But I prefer to stop somewhere en route and see, if you spot a cafe or a little restaurant that you can get a menu or a formula for a reasonable price, and that's what I did. The reason I stopped in Toulouse is because I ordered an enduro style crash helmet for this particular adventure, and when I ordered it online from a French company, and I'm not blaming it because it's a French company, they said yes, we can deliver it in the next 3 days. But when I pressed buy, it then came back and said it's not actually in stock, we're expecting them in the next few days. Anyway, that was about 10 days ago. Suffice to say, it hasn't arrived, and I chased them this morning, and this afternoon I got an email saying we don't know when we're going to get them in, so I'm going to ask for a refund. So what I thought was, Toulouse is a huge city, I mean massive by French standards, and therefore there's a big population, and therefore there's likely to be some decent motorbike shops around. So I googled motorbike shops in Toulouse, found one that was only 1.2 kilometers off my route, and bought myself this, which is a lightweight enduro helmet, but crucially it's got the chin guard, because my open face obviously didn't have that, and it's a big enough aperture that if I want to wear goggles with some over the glasses goggles, I can fit those in as well, so that would be good. So plan now is have a bite to eat and then get some shut-eye, and then in the morning, breakfast is at 8:30, that's when I hit the trails. So I'll be going off up into the mountains. completely new to me, the Pyrenees to go off-roading in. I mean, I've off-roaded in the Picos and I've off-roaded down the east side of Spain, but doing this in the Pyrenees, I mean, it was lovely to leave Toulouse behind and then come into the mountains and see all the mountains in all their glory. And going into Andorra was fascinating because I've only ever been to Andorra in the winter. I've skied Andorra loads of times, and it was interesting to see the slopes that I've skied down with grass on. Beautiful mountains. So that's enough for now. Time to get inside, and I shall catch you up tomorrow after my day out in the mountains. I shall see you then. Hi. Okay, so it's the end of day 2, because day 1 was effectively me driving down to Spain. So it's the end of day 2. Today I've spent the entire day riding the trails. Now, when I go to London to see a friend of mine to have dinner periodically, he always says to me, how was the trip down? Because it's about 180 miles. And I always say uneventful, because uneventful is exactly what you want for a motorway journey. Well, today has been eventful, okay, but I'll get to that in a minute. So I set off with the plan to join the TET, and it's about 6 kilometres from here. It actually went the other way. I turned right out of the gate, and I was expecting to turn left. It didn't have a good start because I set off and I didn't have my boots on. I still had my trainers on, so I had to come back and change those, which was a bit stupid. Anyway, got going, and I got to the point where I needed to go up a hill and sort of presumably go into the mountains. And I went up this lovely single track road for some kilometres, and when I got sort of to a point where you think, right, I'm going to join a trail now, it said no, you can go back down. And I thought, okay, well, what was that all about? Was that a complete waste of time? Because there was no route to go further. I had to go down and then carry on along the road I was on. So I did. Anyway, it got better. I would say today was probably 35% tarmac and about 65% trail. There's always, with the TET, roads that connect up the different bits of trail, and today was no different. So there were 2 incidents that made the day eventful. So the least dramatic one was, on the trails you very often find bits of wire or string across the trail saying don't go any further. They don't generally mean don't go any further. They're generally put there by the farmers to protect the livestock, etc. So what you tend to do is you arrive at this piece of string across the trail and you put the bike on its stand, take the wire down, go through and put the wire back and carry on. Well, the problem with the GasGas is that, and it's a blessing and a curse, is it has a side stand which retracts automatically, a bit like Ducatis. I don't know if they still do, but certainly the old ones used to. Now, where that's a benefit is when you just want to set off and get going. So you literally lean the bike to the right and the stand comes up and off you go. Where it's a pain in the arse is it's very difficult to actually set the side stand when you're on the bike. It's much easier to get off the bike and set the side stand. Now, bearing in mind the bike is very tall and you're on rough trails, and I got to a point on some trails where I kept coming across these blessed string across the cables, any number of different varieties. Some of them were elasticated ropes, so you could literally lift it over you and carry on, but most of them weren't. And I must have gone through about a dozen, and it was really becoming annoying, simply because it's such a pain in the arse to put the bike on the stand, wheel it through, put it back on the stand, because the bike is tall and therefore the side stand is long, and it stands quite tall when, quite upright, when it's on the side stand, which is not good. So anyway, I went through number 17 or however many numbers I was up to, and I couldn't find a good place to put the bike. So I basically balanced it on the side stand a little bit too upright, but I thought it just needs to stay there for about 4 seconds while I quickly reattach the cable and then get back to it. And clearly 4 seconds was too long, because I left the bike and over it crashed onto its side. Fortunately, I've got the Barkbusters handguards on, so no damage anywhere. The more dramatic incident went like this. Now, what you have to remember is that when you're riding the TET, and I've found this on Wikilocks as well, and presumably it's on other navigation systems, because I use Osmond overlaid onto the GPX files. When you're going along, it's not like following Google Maps or TomTom. What you've got is you've basically got a straight line, often a straight line between points. So the straight line may or may not be on the road. Now, as a result of this, I missed a turning off in a village, okay? And I could see where it went. I could see, and basically the trail sort of clung to the edge of the village, but down in a field. But there was also a road that clung to the edge of the village, not in the field. So I went round in the village, having missed the turning, and realised I'd gone wrong. So I went back and started again. And the only path I could see was a very narrow path, and I thought, well, it must be this, so I'll go up there. I went up this very steep cobbled path for about, I don't know, maybe 20 metres, and at the top there were 2 steps. Obviously it was not the path, but the trouble I had was that it was very steep, and B, it was too narrow to turn the bike round in. Anyway, long story short, I ended up falling down the hill, and the bike fell obviously with me. It didn't fall on me, and even if it had, the bike's light. But I fell, and then so I'm basically I've picked myself up. The bike is laying with the wheels higher than the handlebars, laying up on a slope. So I've got to get the bike upright, back on its wheels. My first concern was not to take a photograph, just in case you're wondering. So I got the bike back on its wheels, and I basically wheeled it down the slope carefully until I got to a wider point where I could turn it round. And then I went out of the village, and when I got to the point where I should have turned off, I stopped and I took my helmet off and I had a drink. And it was at that point, of course, that the adrenaline stopped flowing, and I realised actually I'd hurt myself. And I'm sure I'm going to have a massive bruise at the top of my thigh where I landed on this slope. Anyway, that was about 2 hours into today. After that, the trails were great. There was a real mixture of trails. There were some gnarly trails that were very difficult. Lots of loose, big stones mixed in with fixed rock. It seems to me that when you go through a pine forest, and it's probably something to do with the pines like this type of soil, you often get big loose rocks and really rutted. So there was some of that. There was very steep slopes with loose rock. There were big washed out gullies, but there was also quite a few lovely trails, like fire trails through the mountains. All in all, it was a fantastic day. My plan was ride until I had lunch, and then after lunch I'd ride till about 4:30ish, 5 o'clock, and then I'd start heading back. I found a fantastic place for lunch, had a really nice lunch, certainly don't want anything to eat now, and then I carried on. Now, of course, when you're on the trail, you don't really know where you are in relation to where you need to get back to. So I just carried on, and of course when you're on the trail you need to carry on in order to get to the end of it. It's no good sort of stopping and thinking, well, it's 5 o'clock now, I'm going to stop and turn round, because that would be stupid. So you've got to carry on, and you could carry on for 5 minutes, or you could carry on for an hour. Anyway, I stopped at about 20 to 6, and I stopped at a junction, which was at the end. You know, I'd finished the trail and I'd gone down a road and I got to a main road, and I then put into Google Maps back to the hotel, and it was 2 hours and 12 minutes, and I thought, crikey, I'm a long way. I mean, I may not be a long way as the crow flies, or even on the trail, but I'm a very long way on the road. So anyway, I got back to the hotel at well, about 8 o'clock. So very, very long day. My plan tomorrow is have breakfast. I put the bike back on the car. I made a note of where I left the trail effectively when I got to that main road. And so my plan tomorrow is have breakfast and then drive to that point where there's a perfectly nice parking area for the car, and I'll take the bike off the car and I will carry on doing the TET in the direction that I've been doing it, which is basically west to east. The bike has been extraordinarily good. I really am massively impressed with this bike. Typically on the trail I'm riding at about 25 to 30 kilometers an hour, and I'm in third gear, and you can ride down to almost below tick over in third gear when you're going around a gnarly corner, for example, and then just accelerate, and it just accelerates cleanly and pulls away. It's extraordinarily good. The fueling is so good. It's absolutely fantastic, and it's light and it's easy to ride, and it does the trails brilliantly. So for what I'm using it for, it's absolutely perfect. And the other thing to note is there's not been any mud, which, to be honest with you, I think is better for the bike. I think getting the bike covered in mud and getting the chain and all your gears, you know, caked in gloopy mud and then using them on gloopy mud can't be good for them. So it's been great, absolutely great, and not too hot either, because of course I've been in the mountains. I mean, at one point I was above the tree line in the cloud, and it was quite cool. So it's been great, absolutely great. Anyway, that's enough. It's 9:05. I'm absolutely knackered, and I will do another video at the end of tomorrow, and that will continue from this one. So anyway, I shall see you tomorrow. So, end of day 2, or 3, day 3. I'm getting mixed up with my days. It's 4:20. I've just finished. I've been riding since about noon. I had to ride back to where I finished the trail, and it was a long way. It must have taken me 2 hours 40 minutes or so, and so I didn't actually start riding until noon. And I thought, well, I've had a really good breakfast, so let's forget lunch. The lady at the hotel very kindly made me a little package of biscuits and one of those vanilla custard, the Portuguese little tarts. I do like a Portuguese tart. So so I thought what I'll do is I won't bother having lunch, I'll just get on with it. So I did. It was a day, if you like, or a period of 2 halves. The first half I was up in the mountains, very high, lovely trails, easy trails, amazing views, absolutely staggeringly pretty views. And then after, I don't know, an hour and a half or so of doing that, I then went onto the road and then picked up another trail, and my goodness me, what a contrast. It was difficult. I mean, it was very technical, very challenging, big rocks, loose rocks, steep up and down, not very wide in places. There was loads of opportunities to come a cropper. It was very, very challenging, but ultimately very satisfying when you get to the end and you haven't died, especially because I'm on my own, because no one would know about me. But it was brilliant, absolutely brilliant. So by the time I stopped there, I'd been riding, I suppose I'd been going for about 3 hours, and I thought, well, I'm not sure of my fuel situation, because bear in mind the bike doesn't have a fuel gauge, and so you're never really sure how much fuel you've got. I needed to get some fuel, and I wasn't sure. I had a look. I wasn't sure how far I was from where I needed to get back to the car. Anyway, I had a look, and it was about an hour. So I thought, do you know what? I'll leave it. I was in the middle of nowhere. Fuel was about 50 minutes away. From there back to where I needed to be was over an hour away. And I thought, let's just get the fuel, because with no extra fuel on board, you really are at the mercy of what's available. Anyway, I found fuel, and then I headed back to where I needed to be. Put the bike back on the trailer, and everything's fine. So now it's a case of driving for about 7 hours plus maybe 8 hours in order to get back home. So I hope you've mildly enjoyed my little sojourn into Spain on the GasGas. Astonishingly capable bike. I mean, the capability of the bike exceeds my capability by a significant margin. It is staggeringly competent. It has made me think, if you could travel light enough and stay in hotels, which obviously I would. I mean, the idea of camping, I mean, please. I reckon this could make a very good off-road adventure bike. But I'm going to make a video about that. So I'll save that for another day. I need to think some more about that one. Anyway, that's it. I need to get going. I need to eat my little biscuits and my Portuguese tart. So on the way. So anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this. If you have, please give me a thumbs up. It really is nice to know when people like what I'm doing, and subscribe if you like listening to me ramble endlessly sometimes. So stay safe, and I shall see you next time. Bye for now.